Welcome back to another UCL Fantasy video. This will be the best Limitless team for Matchday 12. If you haven't used it already, I'd highly recommend using it right now. You have the possibility of using it for the final and Matchday 13 too, but I think for most people it makes sense to use your Limitless or Wildcard, whatever you have remaining right now. And if you have both, then I'd probably say the Limitless now in Matchday 12 and the Wildcard in Matchday 13. If you end up enjoying this video, be sure to drop it a like and also smash the subscribe button to help us out in the algorithm. Let's try to get this video to over 300 likes. Let's keep on pushing towards new goals such as 20,000 subscribers, and check all the links in the description below for the Patreon, channel memberships, Discord server and the UCL Fantasy League. But let's jump straight into this video with the best 15-man squad on the Limitless. It's quite clear at this moment in time that Onana and Courtois are by far the best goalkeepers to have in UCL Fantasy. I know Ederson and Maignan are capable of some good returns, but after the first leg especially, I think Onana over Maignan is quite clear now. I thought it was quite close heading into Matchday 11, but I think Onana is the clear victor, and he has a very good chance of progressing to the Champions League final. And Inter Milan are in great form. They just won 4-2 against Sassuolo, and in Serie A recently, Handanovic has been playing, and Inter Milan have been rotating quite extensively, and this was still the case over the weekend whilst Onana was on the bench, and he is rested and safe for those Champions League games where he's been absolutely fantastic this season. And there is a reason why both Onana and Courtois are two of the highest scoring goalkeepers in UCL Fantasy throughout the whole campaign. As for Thibaut Courtois, he kept another clean sheet in a 1-0 victory over Getafe, and actually when you look at it, Real Madrid also rotate quite extensively, and only 4 key players such as Valverde, Camavinga, Eder Militao and Courtois started in that game, but Madrid still got the job done, and another clean sheet there for Thibaut Courtois. And the reason why I prefer him over Ederson, even if you might back Man City to reach the Champions League final, is because Courtois makes more saves, is better from penalties, and he can also maybe get some penalty save points in that regard, and he's just got a generally higher ceiling compared to Ederson. Despite Man City having home advantage and the better team, you'd still rather go for Courtois and cover Man City in another way defensively. We have made some key changes to the backline compared to the last video, so whilst the goalkeepers are very similar, the backline isn't. So we look at these two Inter Milan defenders. You've got a triple up here going on with Onana included, and there are some other defenders like Acerbi and Darmian who are very good options as well if you can't afford Bastoni in your normal team, for example. Now, Bastoni is the most nailed on Inter Milan defender, good for ball recoveries, and he pretty much guarantees you 4 points or above in every single match day. Now, DeMarco is a really good option as well, and he got an assist in the first leg of the semi-finals. But one key thing to note is that Gosens has just returned from injury, and around 61 minutes DeMarco came off for Gosens, so that could be a big issue heading into Matchday 12. I don't think DeMarco will be on the bench, but what could happen is around 60 minutes, and it could be just before landing that potential clean sheet, DeMarco might be subbed off for Gosens, so be aware of that. The best time to buy DeMarco was around Matchday 11, heading into Matchday 12 now with Gosens returning from injury. This could be a key concern, so if you want to just go for someone nailed on who will play, then go for Darmian or Acerbi instead of DeMarco, and let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Another thing you could also consider is instead of going for Theo Hernandez, you can also go for yet another Inter Milan defender or even someone from Real Madrid, but we've already got Courtois there. I think Man City are going to score, and despite the fact that Madrid also are likely to score as well, you'd back Man City a little bit more for the clean sheet. So that's why I've gone for 2 Man City defenders in John Stones and Ruben Dias, probably the 2 best that you can go for. Ruben Dias is the best for ball recoveries and also in terms of how nailed on he is, and John Stones has the attacking potential compared to Ruben Dias and everyone else in the Man City backline. But I think the one key change I would consider making is going for Darmian instead of Theo Hernandez. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, but I do like the idea of having at least one AC Milan player and defender, and Theo Hernandez still offers plenty of attacking threat despite AC Milan losing 2-0 to Spezia over the weekend with a relatively strong team. So it's very concerning their form. They've also got 3 wins in the last 10 games, including one over Napoli in the Champions League quarterfinals, and they've only scored 9 goals in that time, but plenty of clean sheets as well along the way, and that's why I was quite keen on a double up in AC Milan defensively, but it hasn't worked out so far, especially in Matchday 11. Let's see if they can do anything and mount a comeback in Matchday 12. We won't have the luxury of seeing the Man City versus Madrid lineups before the deadline as we did last week, but it's still going to be very important, I think, to have two of these players at least that you see in the midfield five. So De Bruyne and Vinicius Jr. are absolutely essential. I don't think De Bruyne was particularly great against Real Madrid, but he scored that great goal. He got the Man of the Match award, and he has been a Man of the Match award magnet in this Champions League. So those are 3 extra points every time he wins that award, and he's got plenty already in this campaign, and he's also done it across the years as well. So Kevin De Bruyne is quite a easy inclusion here. I think what's going to be a bit difficult to predict is nailing on that second Man City midfielder, because we don't get the deadline and we might miss out on someone like Alvarez, who starts up front for Man City, and also someone like Riyad Mahrez, who could do really well. I have a feeling one of those two could be the surprise inclusion for the second leg, and unfortunately we won't know until the Wednesday, and by that time you can't make any transfers before that game, so you will only be able to have them for the final, basically, if Man City should reach it. But I've gone for İlkay Gündoğan. I'm fairly confident he will start that game. He's got a bit of attacking threat. He got the assist in the first leg for Kevin De Bruyne. So I think he's probably a decent option there as your second choice midfielder. He's 8 million, and on the Limitless, it's a really good way of going for him. If you want to take a punt, then I would consider Mahrez, but he's not guaranteed to start. And in recent Champions League games at home, including the one against Leipzig and Bayern Munich, Riyad Mahrez didn't start any single one of those games, and the same goes for the first leg against Real Madrid, of course. So Riyad Mahrez has lost his spot since that goal against Leipzig, ironically away from home, which is a bit frustrating. Otherwise, he would be nailed on in this Limitless team in place over İlkay Gündoğan. Rodrigo's been fantastic in recent weeks, and he's a big game player, so I think he has to be in a team as well. He's probably the third best midfielder that you see on screen, and then Vinicius Jr. is probably the best of the lot. He hasn't blanked in any single game in the Champions League this season when he has started, so he's been absolutely terrific, very consistent, and I think he just speaks for himself. He probably deserved the Man of the Match award in the first leg as well. And Çalhanoğlu is someone I'm very frustrated about, because I was talking about him all week in all the Limitless and Wildcard team videos. I had some doubts about him starting. In the end, I didn't go for him, and he got a 7 points against AC Milan, his former club, with an assist, and also he's very capable of Man of the Match awards, ball recoveries, and the occasional goal, especially from outside the box. So I think he's a really good player for Matchday 12. Yes, he might not start every game, and even in Matchday 12 he might be on the bench, but he's still a very good option, and I firmly believe he will start in any single game Inter Milan have until the end of the Champions League campaign. Whilst I've changed things in every single position of this Limitless squad compared to last week, I can't say the same about the forward line, which remains unchanged from Matchday 11, and I don't see any reason why it should change. Rafael Leao is still a doubt. He wasn't in the squad against Spezia. AC Milan are struggling, and you'd back Inter Milan to reach the Champions League final. So really the only alternative is, instead of going for Lautaro Martinez, you could go for Edin Dzeko, Lukaku, or Joaquin Correa, but I think Joaquin Correa is the lowest of those 4 in the pecking order, and with Lautaro Martinez, he's got the form. 5 goals in his last 6 games and 1 assist. He came off the bench against Sassuolo and scored yet again. Lukaku started that game, scored a brace, so he's also in fine form, but in the Champions League it tends to be Lautaro Martinez and Edin Dzeko starting. I see no reason for that to change from the first leg, but maybe Lukaku is knocking on the door with some very good form himself since April pretty much. As for Erling Haaland and Benzema, they blanked at the Bernabeu, but I'd expect one of them to produce a return at the Etihad, and I just see no reason why to go for anyone else. I know you might think of some differential punts, so maybe another Inter Milan forward, maybe have 2 of them, Edin Dzeko and Lautaro Martinez, but I'd still go for this balance and this front 3, because Benzema and Haaland are capable of winning this tie on their own, and if you go against them it could be extremely risky, to say the least, and you also want some different captaincy options on each day. And speaking of that, that's all we have left now. So on the Tuesday we have the Milan derby, and I'd probably favour an Inter Milan attacker, so either Lautaro Martinez or Çalhanoğlu, but you could also consider a defender like DeMarco, Bastoni, Darmian if you bring him in, or even Onana, and I'd never consider captaining a goalkeeper in FPL even with a double game week, but in UCL Fantasy it's a bit different, especially at this stage of the competition. And as for the Wednesday, you'd probably favour a Man City attacker this time round, and it's either Haaland or Kevin De Bruyne, but do not rule out Rodrigo, Vinicius Jr. or Benzema. They have to be in your consideration in my opinion, but I would favour Man City at the Etihad. They've won 14 straight games in Champions League home matches, and they're unbeaten in 25, and they're actually also unbeaten in 21 matches across all competitions, with 17 wins, 4 draws and 0 losses. Let's see how they do against Everton. They could well make it 22 games unbeaten by the end of today. So that is my 15-man squad. The captaincy also discussed. I'd go for either Lautaro Martinez or Çalhanoğlu on the Tuesday, and probably Erling Haaland or De Bruyne on the Wednesday. Let me know who you're kind of leaning towards down in the comment section below, and thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it or found it useful, then be sure to smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. Let's try to get this video to over 300 likes. Let's keep on pushing towards 20,000 subscribers and beyond. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, and check all the links in the description below for the Patreon, channel memberships, Discord server, and the UCL Fantasy League. All of that is there. I wish you all the best of luck for the second leg of the Champions League semi-finals, and enjoy the football. I'll see you very soon.